Welcome to Bourbon with the Editor, presented by Cutting Tool Engineering. I'm Dennis Spaeth, the publisher of Cutting Tool Engineering, and we are here today with our special guest, Vargus USA. And from Vargus, we have Joe Magee, Senior Application Manager for North America and Application Engineer for Southwest, but for the entire country for Vargus. Tracy Abear. Is that right?
That's correct.
They don't pronounce H's down in San Antonio, Texas, which is where he's from. And in the background, we have Scott Golden, who's VP of Sales for Vargus. And we also have Will Nash here and Josh Magee, application engineers for Vargus as well. They're in the background helping my son and my nephew, who are working the control board behind the scenes. So we're going to talk about the FS line from Vargus, but we're going to start with tasting of Blanton's single barrel bourbon. And I've poured myself a little glass already. The bottle is right here. You can see with the little racehorse, and we'll get to that in a second. But I want to just say cheers to another episode of Bourbon with the Editor.
Cheers.
So now you guys got to have a little time to relax and enjoy this.
Right.
Yeah. You want it to smoothly soak in.
Before we roll into things, I want to talk about this bourbon because Blanton's is kind of unique. First single barrel bourbon introduced, and it was introduced in 1984. I'm no connoisseur, and I know we're not going to pass ourselves off as some experts on bourbon, but according to the website for Blanton, the taste profile is sweet with notes of citrus and oak. I can taste the oak. I'm not sure about the citrus. A creamy vanilla nose teased with caramel and butterscotch. Totally get that. What about you guys?
Yeah, you can tell a caramel flavor, I think.
Again, according to the Blanton Distillery website, Blanton's master distiller at the time, Elmer T. Lee, introduced the world to Blanton's single barrel bourbon in 1984, and it was the first single barrel bourbon. The bourbon gets its name from Colonel Albert Blanton, who was the president of the distillery, the Buffalo Trace Distillery, until 1952. When Lee began developing what was intended to be a super premium bourbon, which it is, he remembered that when Colonel Blanton would entertain dignitaries and other important guests, he would handpick honey barrels from the center cut of Blanton's famed Warehouse H, which was a warehouse that they had with these metal walls. And he picked out the barrels. He would have the bourbon bottled one barrel at a time. And so Lee and the distillery, they decided to name the bourbon as a tribute to Colonel Blanton and his old tradition of using a single barrel. So that's where the name comes from. And he lived a long time before the bourbon came out.
That's amazing that it was not released till 1984.
That's when it was introduced,
most bourbons are
1984.
50, 100 years old, the name. And that's an interesting story.
Anyone can go to the Blanton's website and see that, but I gotta say, I mean, that's a cool background. And when you look at the bottle, and you can see the bottle right here, it is a unique looking bottle, and it has a unique topper with a horse on it. There's a whole story behind the Blanton's horses. There's 8 different horses, 8 different toppers or stoppers for the bottles, and they spell out the name Blanton's with an apostrophe S at the end. So the horse and the jockey atop the bottle stoppers are now a recognized trademark of Blanton's single barrel bourbon. The rich heritage and tradition of horses in Kentucky parallel that of bourbon. This is their distillery's way of paying homage to the Kentucky heritage. And they started a collector set in 1999. Scott in the background here has a set. And there are 8 different horses. And the set with the horses, they feature a horse and a jockey in different strides and poses resembling the stages of a horse race from beginning to end. Each stopper is marked with a single letter, it spells out the name. It's meant to depict a different point in the race, and the final stopper, marked by an S, always finishes the race in victory. And just one more time before I move on here. See that? I'm not shaking anymore.
There you
So
go.
now
There you go.
I'm going to get your opinion more about the Blantons in a little while.
Right.
For now, we're going to move on to the reason that Joe and everyone else here from Vargus joined us today for this episode. Joe, why don't you kick us off
Okay,
with
Dennis.
the FS?
We're here to talk about a successful test Tracy ran down in Houston with the FS style insert of that application. It was very successful. So, Tracy, tell us your story.
Yes, so what started all this was I was called out to an end user and they were having issues with an internal threading app. I solved it. And so they said, hey, could you help us with another problem? And it was on an external application. I said, sure. So what we did was the material was 316. It was a 4'8" MPT. And so we used the Vargus Genius,
The app.
for our selection. And so we ended up with we picked the FS. And of course, the FS, the application actually said, use a coolant through, which they didn't have coolant through. So we just picked a standard holder. This is how we got to what we needed, to actually machine this part. So
I want to jump in. I'm
Sure.
sorry, but how long would it take to do this without the app? And what's
if we didn't have the app, you would have to go through the catalog and you would have to pick out your tool. You'd have to pick out your insert and make sure the tool was correct for the application, whether it was internal, external, or even thread milling. So the Genius saves an enormous amount of time. And roughly, I'd say on a threading app, you could probably have this thing spec'd out in around 2 minutes.
and how much time savings would you call that?
I'm going to say probably anywhere from 30 minutes to 45 minutes easily. So it's a huge, it's a very good tool. You can actually get this tool for your Android, your iPhone. You can download it on your desktop. You can go to our VargusUSA.com site and actually get it from there.
And you say, about 45 minutes maybe at the outside, but that's for someone who probably is experienced using the catalog. What about somebody who's maybe not quite as experienced?
Call me.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay,
that's
never
the
mind.
whole idea with our
Yeah.
app is
Yeah.
someone who doesn't really understand the best way to thread something. It'll prompt you questions to answer. And when you go through that, it'll tell you exactly all you need to know. Tells you what anvil to use, what angle of anvil to use, speed, feed, passes. Everything's picked out. So the person that just started in machining or the one that has never threaded very much can come up, pick the right tool and the right starting spot and get a good part. Then you can optimize it or call a Vargus application guy in and he can optimize it for you.
Yes. It's excellent for the end user. Picking your tools out. I mean, it's perfect. Once you put in the information, it gives you the tools that you can pick from that you can actually use for that application.
And you went through that with this customer?
Yes, I did. I went through that, and so we determined the FS non-coolant through because that's what was required. So then came the testing. We started out with their RPM or surface foot range, and we achieved some success with it. But we actually increased the RPM by 100 RPMs, and we actually ended up performing wise, we got 3 to 1 in part count. Which was very good. So.
You got up to 3 to 1 in part count?
Yeah, because basically they were doing 5 pieces per edge. We've got 16.
Okay. Gotcha.
So it was a little, it was a very good result.
Resulted in a pretty good cost savings then.
Yes, the cost savings, the end user calculated, because on this one particular product line, they make 5,000 parts a year. And so the cost savings on that was a little over $10,800. So it was huge. It was a win all the way around for these guys.
What was can we talk about the part or should we not?
No, it was an MPT thread on I want to say not a coupling, but some type of hose nozzle. It was a 4'8" MPT.
Okay.
316 material.
Yeah.
Stainless.
That's impressive.
Yes, that is. Do you always go to FS and stainless steel?
No. I mean, we have Vargus. We have several different solutions. This was actually more of a cost savings. That's what they were looking at. That was the goal. It's a high production shop, so they were looking for a cost savings, and the FS is very cost effective, and the performance is great.
That sounds good. I think we'll go now to some questions that's going to be sent in, maybe email or all the different
If there's
platforms
anyone
you can do.
Yeah, if anyone has a question, but I think I'll jump in with where would you choose or use the FS?
I would use that. It would be the end user that's looking for cost savings. That's where that would fit in perfect. That's the main goal.
can you go into more detail about the advantages of the FS?
It's a press. It's a fully centered insert with a molded chip former on it.
And that's what the FS means, fully
Yeah,
centered.
FS is fully centered. That's correct.
And when you use a fully centered insert, you don't grind the hardness or the toughness off of outside. A standard insert is ground on all 6 sides, or if it's triangle, 9 sides. But anyhow, when you press it to size, it's just the same tolerance as a fully ground one, but the cobalt's still there, keeps a good, tough cutting edge.
It sounds like that's a critical thing that you were trying to achieve when you were developing this.
Yes, what you want to do is get as strong as cutting edge to size as possible, and then keep it from wearing down. The coating keeps the insert from getting too hot. Then the grade of it pressed will keep it it's shaped so you can cut a thread so it don't wear out quickly. And this is what we achieved when they invented this FS. I didn't invent it. Our engineers did.
Well, you're Joe Vargus, so yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
Let's talk about the grades that you might have for FS.
On the FS line, we offer 2 grades: the FST, which is a tiling coated, and the FSK, which is a tin coated. The FST is going to be the tougher grade. The FSK is going to be the wear resistant grade. You can tell the difference between the two because one's going to be a goldish color, another one's going to be a grayish color. So the FST will be the grayish, and the FSK will be the gold color. Another feature about it is it actually has the stamping.
And we're looking at a photo
Yes,
of
that's correct.
Of the box that the inserts come in.
Yes, it has all the nomenclature on the outside, but on the back of the insert, it shows it's stamped also for whether if it's a IR, AG60, so you know what you have.
Especially if you have inserts and one's out of the box and you can't identify it.
Right.
If you can't see it on there, then you can't use that insert anymore. On these FS, they're all marked exactly what they are.
What's this one here, the gold looking one?
That's going to be the FSK insert, actually.
Okay.
That's going to be an AG60, much I can't really
It says AG60ER.
So it's going to be an external insert. ER is external. ER, external right-handed.
I actually took this photo, so it's a really good photo.
Oh, yeah. You're good at this.
Right?
So, thought I'd just throw that in there. A question that just came in. What are the different grades, did you say?
We have the FST and the FSK.
Oh, okay.
Yes, we have 2 grades out.
Okay, cool. And I'm going to just ask another question. Let's talk about the surface feet per minute, the range that you have.
So when we talk about the surface foot, it's gonna lead you back to the Vargus Genius. When you pick that out, that the FST or the FSK, providing whatever material you're wanting to machine, it's going to give you a range of surface foot to pick from, and it's going to calculate out the RPM also on this Vargus Genius app.
That offering they get from the Genius will give you right in the middle of the range, and from there you can increase the speed, decrease it, or whatever you want to do to fine tune your cutting. But it's a very conservative, right down the middle, so you could get a good part from the first time you put it in.
So the suggestion from the app is middle of the road.
Right.
That's not like set in stone. That's how you got to use it.
No.
Now it's the user's intuition to up the speed.
That's
lower
when
the
we
speed,
give you.
or
That's when
whatever,
we
yeah.
give you a range.
Okay.
Actually, yes.
If you were learning this, it would seem like it would be a great idea to have access to something like this app.
The Vargus Genius is a great tool for people who have just started or people who's been doing it for 35 years. It is a good tool because you just can't pull all that information out of thin air real quick. And like we talked about, 2 minutes, less than 2 minutes, you can have tool picked out, speed, feed, spare parts, wrench, everything you need to run this, printed out on a summary.
Yeah, you'd have to be a genius to come up with it on your own, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, we got a few fans in here. You know, it's funny when you put a bar in your office, it can get kind of warm.
Yes,
Hey, what are we looking at here?
This is actually an application with the FS. This, I believe, is an external application. Yes, that's what this video.
And what is that really showing us there? I mean,
we're threading. We're threading apart on. We're going fairly fast, actually.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Oh yeah.
So usually with a Vargus insert, we'll increase the speed from where you started out. That when you call one of our application engineers, they can come in and fine tune it and really get the performance out of each insert. So you can see here, except for the coolant, it's hard to see, but that thing is really moving down through there, removing a lot of material.
And that's what we're trying to show here is just how
Yes.
fast it's moving. And then the second video that was there, that was
That
without
was
the coolant.
Yeah, that one was an actual internal application.
Okay.
You know, the test I actually did was actually an external, but I went ahead and just threw an internal. You know, had a video for that, so I just wanted to make sure our audience is actually knows that we can do both.
Right. And now, is there coolant in that internal one? I saw some. I'm not sure if I saw coolant coming out of there or not, but it didn't look like there was coolant running on that at first.
And that was to shoot the video.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
good. Hey, let's talk about the pitch.
Well,
What does it come in? And there's some different options: ISO, UN.
Yeah, so we offer it in several different profiles. We offer it in a UN partial profile, BSP, MPT, Whitworth, BSPT, and API 10 round. So we offer 62 different profiles, internal and external.
And how do you get to 62?
Well, that was Vargus's. That was their selection. We're talking about a 1/4 inch IC. We're talking about a 3/8 IC. We're talking about a 1/2 inch IC. Okay. We offer, for the partial profile, we offer, from a 5 to 7 pitch would be the 1/2 inch IC, and then the other partial profiles would be a A60, a AG60, and a G60. So going into specifics on that would be probably AG60 would be a 8 to 48, the G60 would be a 8 to 14, and the A60 would be a 16 to 48. So it's a good variety, and they're, so that's what it's designed to cut, from 8 to 48 threads per inch.
Yeah, and then I don't want to keep going on and on about the app, but it obviously that really helps cut through all your different decisions, the decisions that you'd have to make to get down to what
All
maybe
depends
be
on what the customer wants.
This isn't AI, but it's better than AI because it has a human involvement, right?
As a human and thousands of case studies all put into this software. So not any application you can think you need to run, we have made it. Okay. And if we haven't, and to be a total special, we can have it made. We make specials in our standard inserts all the time. Now, FS doesn't make standard. FS is a standard line for everyday application. But
sure.
If we have standards, we make them all the time, send them in, and have a standard created.
A question came in from someone out there. What different thread types can you cut?
What different thread types?
All the standard pitches, from 8 all the way up to 48. And then the different profiles. You have ISO, UN, ANSI, just about all the common that you use every day.
Yeah, on the UN, we actually go from 8 to 24 on the external, and on the internal would be 8 to 20 pitch. Okay. MPT, it's going to be, the 8, 11 and a half, 14. That's what we're going to cover. If you have a
real fine thread, you would go with an AG60 or an G60. That's how we would come up with what we need.
Amy is asking, what materials does this platform shine in?
Shines in carbon steel and stainlesses. Anything beyond that?
In a location in Pennsylvania, we ran it in some low lead brass. Worked very well, very well. So it's works in about all your standard materials out there.
And industry-wise?
Yes, it's going to be an oil and gas, pipe fittings, standard job shop. This is where this insert's going to really come into. It works in a high production. It works in in a job shop atmosphere.
So almost anybody in our audience would be interested in hearing about this.
Oh yes, most definitely.
And I'm glad that we're talking about this because it's nice to reach most of our audience.
Anybody that's using creating a standard thread, FS would work in. If you get some really tight threads, tight tolerance, that you maybe need a standard or a special radius or something, FS would not be the choice there. But in a standard machine shop environment, FS would be a good choice for about any standard thread.
What about high temp alloys?
Yes, I've actually run this insert and threaded this duplex stainless, which is it's pretty nasty material. So it will cut high temp.
Well, it might be a good time to take a little drink break.
Okay.
You need a new pour, I think.
Yeah. You want to get it?
I'll get it.
I'll go ahead.
Yeah, sure.
I'm good.
Grab that old horse.
You know, the Sintered, we've introduced the Sintered about 3 years ago, actually.
and which is one of the reasons now why you're out and about talking about it, and that's one of the reasons it's why we came up with the whole idea for Bourbon with the Editor, actually. Not that we're only going to do it with Vargus, but it's one of the reasons we did, because you had so many stories to tell, case studies,
Yes.
and you know, your customer specific success stories, that you wanted a different venue to tell these stories, and this was born out of that. So 3 years gives you a lot of time to come up with some success stories. And
also,
you
we're
have
really
that.
building a lot of inventory. We have a lot of people requesting this. So, you know, it takes a while for the name to get around that we have a new product out, the FS. So it's, you know, everything is stocked in Janesville, Wisconsin, or our LA warehouse, or our Houston warehouse. No, our all our headquarters, our office, and everything is in Janesville, Wisconsin.
Yes.
Okay. Give us a sense of all the different locations for Vargus, because it's not just those 3 locations. You've got basically representatives
Across
in
the globe.
various
Yeah,
places.
we work through distribution, you know,
So-
distributors.
Here in the United States, we work through
Yes.
distribution. We have Vargus offices across the globe. I think there's about 60 of them across the globe in many, many countries. So Vargus has been around for 60 years, you know.
Mhm.
So we pretty well known across the globe.
Joe, how long have you worked there?
13 years.
13 years.
Yes.
And how long in the industry altogether?
For the first 15 years, I ran machines. Then I worked for another cutting tool company for 25 years. Then came to Vargus. So
You lived 2 lives before you came to Vargus.
yes, that's right. That's right.
When did they change your last name to Vargus?
About 3-4 hours ago, I think.
I'm going to make that a thing, by the way, because you're
Right.
Joe Vargus.
Not Joe Dirt, right?
That's right. And not Joe Zuzu.
Yeah,
Anyone
okay.
remembers those
I'll look at the
commercials.
Vargus then.
Wow.
The other two.
Yeah.
Right.
And Tracy, what about you? How long have you been?
I've been with Vargus for 7 years, actually. You know, on the machining side for over 30-something years. I worked at one facility for 32 years, and then, well, actually, I started out working with family. You know, they had machine shops, so
Oh wow, okay.
I didn't get too. I wasn't too thrilled about that, so I went to work for another family that wasn't family. You know,
That can be better sometimes.
that was good. I mean, I worked there for 32 years, and then you know, I went to work for another manufacturer, and then came to Vargus.
So this is your 3rd, 4th life
Yeah.
or career.
Oh yeah,
And on the screen you can reach Vargus through the website there,
Yes.
or the email. But I got to ask Tracy about, there are 26 letters in the alphabet, and it seems like Texas doesn't like the letter H.
it's Louisiana actually.
Okay, but you're from San Antonio.
No,
and I know
no.
not originally, but
You're going to have to straighten that out. The boys from Texas don't like it when you mix it up.
okay.
He's
So,
from Houston.
Well, I'm not from Houston either.
oh, I thought it was San Antonio. Where are you from exactly?
Actually, I'm originally from Lafayette, Louisiana. You know, I
Louisiana,
moved to Texas when I was a kid, so I was raised in Texas. Yeah, y'all mentioned something about New Orleans.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, but the pronunciation of H. I mean, when we refer to Hustex, we say Hustex. When you say Hustex, you say,
Utex.
there you go, and it's because of like a French influence on,
Oh, I
on
don't
the
know.
way they pronounce.
I don't know about all that. That's just. I guess I just see it how it's pronounced or how it's spelled. But like I said, you look at my name, it looks like Heber, you know, but it's not.
Yeah, you look at my name, and it's in German. It means late. Cheers.
Cheers. We do have, you know, like I said, we do have the sales at Vargus USA. They can get in contact with, you know, they can actually get in touch with us for, you know, the end user for any type of help, you know, when it comes to threading.
You send a message in to the website or the email site. They'll get in touch with one of our application engineers.
Yes.
We'll get in touch with you, send you a Genius summary, and help you with any threading application you have.
Honestly, if anyone has any questions out there live, I mean, you don't have to ask something live. You can wait until after and send it an email. And if there's something that you want to ask us here at CT that we can pass along, you can just reach out to me, dspaeth at ctmag.com.
Something that goes back to our Vargus website. We have a new website where you can, and it's really self-explanatory. You can pick out the insert, the IC, internal, external, and it's going to give you, different platforms to pick from, whether if it's the FS, if it's the mock, if it's standard. We have a new grade out, VT10.
Yeah, I just want to show people the way you would go about figuring out what you're going to use is by paging through this.
400 pages.
That's how thick it is. You can see.
It's a lot of threading.
It's a great resource to have.
Sure.
However, you might be paging through this just to get some ideas. But here's a catalog. If you didn't have the Genius app.
And I will say that our new catalog has all the new product in the front section of it. So it's going to have all the latest product. Going back to the FS, it actually, that insert fits in our standard holders. It fits in our VCAP, which is the Capco style, fits in our smooth bore.
That's what that is.
And it fits in some of our competition.
If it's an ANSI standard, that is an ANSI standard insert. So it fits right in that.
So I wanted to ask this. Not sure if we covered this, but what is the difference? The main difference between the standard threading inserts and the FS line?
Well, what it is our standard insert's ground, where the FS isn't ground. It's a centered, fully pressed insert. Pressed to size. Yes.
Well, the thing that's ground is on the bottom. You grind the bottom so you make sure you can hold your tip height. Yes. But everything else is pressed to size.
And for someone who's not as all-knowing as you guys, how is that critical to the difference?
Center lines is critical. You want to maintain center line on your cutting edge. That's very critical. So, another thing that helps our insert is if you have an anvil underneath, you can correct the helix angle of it. So, and our Vargus Genius actually gives you that answer. It tells you if you need a YE3-1P or a 1N or just a YE3, it gives you that answer. So you don't have to sit there and do all the math.
Especially if you're drinking bourbon. You don't want to be doing any math.
I was never very good at math anyhow, so I'm glad that the Genius does it all for us.
Can I ask him to just play a random video that they might have access to back there?
Sure.
Tim, Josh, anyone? Oh, yeah, okay. You want to kind of tell us, Tracy, if you're looking at this?
Yes, this is some of our in-feed methods for threading. The first one, I believe, was a radial in-feed. There's advantages and disadvantages to it. There's the radial in-feed right there, straight radial. So.
And this is just showing like the path and
yes, it's showing the path of yes, that's correct.
Well, the Genius will ask you what type of in-feed you want.
Yes, you get to
pick
that.
And then when you go through it, it will tell you why you want this and why you would not want this. So that's what it's showing here on this video.
Now this one here is actually a modified in-feed. This was another one, and it will actually. On the Genius, it will recommend what angle or degree to in-feed at, whether it be 1 to 3 degrees. So there's advantages and disadvantages to it.
So this makes me wonder, the customer that we were originally talking about, when you went through all this, I want to find out, what was their reaction?
They were thrilled, especially, they were thrilled about the cost savings. That's in the performance for sure.
Sure.
So it was a win-win for us. They've got a great product at a very reasonable price. And we sped it up, knocked the pass off their cycle, cut their cycle time down. So they were very appreciative of that.
It just strikes me. What about anybody else who you might have had some experience with this FS line that we can, without sharing any?
Yes, I have several customers that are using this FS line. Actually these shops are these are kind of high production shops. So
and within the last 3 years, or have they been using it for?
Yeah, I have one customer. I have one customer. They've been using it roughly coming up on 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's got its footprint.
Early adopter, and they're sticking with it.
Yes, that they and another thing, he's supporting them. That's key. So if they have any issues, first thing they do is they call me, and I go out there and assess what's going on, and then solve the problem.
What we really focus on is getting the right technical support as soon as possible.
Mhm.
So if you call one of us, we'll call you back. If you email one of us, we'll email you back. You send it in to Vargus.com, say we need some help. Might take a day. It'll get to us, and whoever's location, someone will get back with you with an answer. It might not be the answer you want, but we're going to give you an answer how to fix your problem.
Yeah. I mean, support is really good, especially when you're calling someone and you're getting someone here in the U.S., right? Maybe as close
right.
to you as possible because you
Yes.
got people everywhere. And I mean, right here in Chicago area, you've got someone stationed. You're in Texas.
I've covered 3 states.
Yeah, and
the
Josh
guy-
is
It's
kind
got
of
3 states.
yeah.
Most of it got 2 or 3 states.
But you've got people everywhere, so that if
Then we have
somebody needs some
independent
help,
reps. We also have. Then we have distributors. So our products sold through distribution. Then you have independent reps. You have our Vargus application reps. Then you have online service that's just like the Genius. So there's always a way to get your Vargus information and the correct tool to help you make a good part and a good profitable operation.
what about an interrupted cut application? Is it okay for this?
Yes.
FS?
Yes.
Yeah?
I would recommend a FST. Yes.
FST, okay.
Yes.
And was that the gold one or that
That's
was
gonna
the
be that's
gray
gonna be
one?
that's gonna be the gray one.
Okay.
Yes.
In terms of like the stock and their availability, give me some idea of
All
how long
62
can you,
different
Yeah.
versions, pitches of this is in stock in Janesville or our LA warehouse or our Houston warehouse. So we shouldn't be 1 or 2 days away at anybody in the United States. If you need something, you identify it, place an order with your distributor, and they will get it to you. We have quite a few stocking distributors
Yes.
across the United States and growing all the time. It's probably easier to contact one of our application engineers.
Oh, and go through
Or
them. Okay.
Go through that. That way
right.
we can pick out the right tool for the right application, give you the right speeds, feeds, and anvil. And then we can get you to the right distributor in your area. Because, sometimes you put them up there and they're like, well, that's Chicago, Illinois. Well, maybe it's Chicago, Wyoming, too. You never know.
Oh, is there a preferred in-feed when using this for a threading insert?
That would go back to probably the end user. Vargus will make the recommendation first. End user can change it. For instance, if they're threading stainless, it may first recommendation probably should be modified in feed.
And it goes back to this theme we kept talking about. You go to the Genius, you put your information in, it'll suggest the best economical way of threading and what in feed you should use. All you just go with the Genius, it knows all.
You guys, I was going to text this without saying anything live, but hey, Tim, I'm going to need the power cord for my laptop or we're going to go black here. Can you get my power cord from my
Right
office?
Now, because right now he's actually showing the Genius app, kind of running through it.
Okay.
This
why don't you, this is amazing. This is just a general video that it has nothing to do with your
right,
case.
that's correct.
Case study, but
We're putting together
Tim, just come on, doesn't matter.
We're putting together a
Thank you.
podcast just for the
You plug that
Genius.
in, I get this.
So we're going to have one here in the near future where we just go over the Genius on the podcast, show all the examples, show all the
features and benefits of it.
yeah, and also for thread milling and thread turning.
Okay.
Also thread whirling. We have a thread whirling too. That's on the Genius. So in one of our next few, I can't tell you when, we're going to go through the Genius. We'll sit down with one of our application engineers and we'll go through the Genius, teach everybody all the features and how easy it is to work.
Yeah, and I think what would be fun when we do that is do some kind of a pre-recorded version of just to give people an idea of what the difference is in how it. If you're not using the app and you were just using the book, we'll have juxtapose. Just have someone go through this just to see in a real kind of a test how long it takes them to come up with the same solution.
We can do that, and I'll actually go through the book and write it down against Tracy or one of them, and we'll see. And then we'll show you the difference. Even though I know what I'm talking about, it still takes time to look it all up.
Can I ask anyone who might be watching this to send us a challenge for that specific
Sure.
video so that
Yes,
we
give
can
us a
come up
part,
with, that,
you know,
that we are not aware of, that we're not coming up on our own.
Right.
We take it from the audience somewhere. Even if you're watching the recorded version of this, send it to us so that we can get this done for
Right.
either the one, we're going to do another one in August and another one
Wow.
in or July and then in
We're
August.
going to do one end of July, then late August, right before IMTS, because we'll have the Genius up and running in the Vargus IMTS booth with a machine running the Vargus tools. So, and then we'll probably do a couple more podcasts after IMTS, probably September, October, and we're getting in the holidays. We'll see about that. So,
well, by then, aren't you going to be in Hawaii? 50th anniversary or something like that?
Yes.
I hope that wasn't a surprise.
no, I'm pretty sure my wife knows it when it comes up, and we're looking forward to it.
Here's a question that did come in. Is this a good solution for more challenging materials like Hastelloy?
What do you think, Joe?
Hastelloy is usually in aerospace, so you want a really tight tolerances. A fully ground insert might be good for the tight tolerances. Now, if it's not that, and it's just a standard production, I would say the FS would run good. I would probably use the FST because it's tougher. It needs to have a tough edge to hold up to that abrasiveness of the Hastelloy.
Is that what the T stands for? Tougher?
Yeah.
Does it really? No. Okay.
Well, that's how we remember it.
And that's interesting because industry wise, you might want to use the ground insert for something in aerospace. Generally, if it's very precise, it's good to know, just in broad terms, what industry something is more optimal for.
We hate to come back to this again, but you punch that into the Genius, and it will tell you. If you put in a U&J thread for aerospace in titanium, it will tell you what grade, what insert, what kind of holder, and speed and feed that you'll want. So that's the what's so amazing about our app. No matter what your question is, when it comes to threading, it answers it for you.
It really is. I think that'll be a great episode to focus on that a little bit. And it would be really cool if we could gear up for that by getting people who's out in the audience to send in some potential applications that they want to
we do have a new ground grade VT10, so that would be probably one of my first choices on something like a Hastelloy, actually.
So there's a lot of options.
We have options,
and we will will solve your problem. Sometimes you just have to get it started, see what kind of results we get at first, and we'll tweak it in for you. But you're right. If someone's got a part they're running out there, they're having trouble with a thread for a while that they found, have it send it in there. Then we'll put it in there, show you how to pick out the right tools using the Vargus Genius, and then see if the old guy can pick it out just as fast. So,
I wouldn't have said old. Hey, I haven't seen you drink. What did you think?
It's good.
It's very
tasty.
smooth.
Man, oh man. It's not the least expensive bourbon out there, but man, it really is worth it. So
I think we want to say thank you for inviting us.
Yeah.
are you kidding me? Yeah.
Yeah, we're about done talked out, and I'm pretty sure probably people are getting tired of hearing me talk. So thank you, Dennis, for inviting us, and we'll have another one next month. As soon as we get it figured out, we're going to get everybody's email blast out there, tell everybody what we're going to do, what we're going to cover, and we'll go from there. Thank you.
Thank you guys for
Thank
showing
you
up
for the
here.
bourbon.
Thank you, Tracy.
Man, much
and thank you
appreciated.
for coming all the way out here from
All right.
Texas.
Thank you.
Joe, Vargus, Magee. Thanks to Blanton for being
Thank you
our
for having
bourbon
us.
tonight. It's a lot of fun, and I gotta thank Scott and Josh. Josh is behind the scenes, and he's done we wouldn't have been able to get this all put together without Josh and Tim, my son, and my nephew Billy. my brother Ken is outside the front door here of our office, keeping the cleaning lady at bay, just so we can present this episode to you at an hour where you might not be in the middle of work. And this whole idea came up when I was talking with Vargus about how they can get this story out about the success of some of their products that they've been having for the last few years, just getting the story out in a different way. So that's what we're doing. I enjoy doing it. It's good information. I know it might seem
We're going
like
to do it monthly from here on out for a while and see how it goes.
Yeah,
we'll get better. We will get better.
You know what? I think we're doing all right. And we would love to hear feedback from the audience about,
Sure.
You want to hear more about bourbon? You want to see me drink more bourbon, or Joe drink more bourbon, or Trace here, or whatever.
Right.
Just let us know. Give us some feedback. We'd love to hear the feedback.
Thank you.
Might I suggest Blanton's if you've got a few $100 to spare? But you know what else? There are a lot of other bourbons you can try that don't cost nearly that much. And Blanton's, by the way, is it's made at the Buffalo Trace Distillery. And Buffalo Trace, which happens to be the first bourbon I ever tried that I actually realized was even called bourbon, is a lot less expensive, and it's really good too. This is really good, and and I'm glad I got a chance to drink it. So with that, I'm gonna sign off. Tim, you guys, if you want to say goodbye. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
Here's to manufacturing.
Yes.
And all the metal cutters,
And the Cutting Tool Engineering
professionals.
Magazine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.